Welcome to Imperfect Love with Dr. Carla Marie Manley, psychologist, author, and relationship expert. I'm here to help unravel mysteries and misconceptions about love, relationships, and mental health issues, plus everything in between. Love is complicated, people are not perfect, and relationships surely can be tough. Together, we'll navigate this messy, imperfect space of real life.
Manifesting. This singular word is magical to some and cringe-worthy to others. Yet, when manifesting is mindfully embraced, it can become a powerful tool for everyone. When we think of manifesting, ideas of the supernatural might come to mind, but true manifesting simply involves harnessing the power of your own mindset, heart, and soul. Today, we'll focus on this listener's real-life question. I keep hearing about manifesting, but I can't get good things to happen in my life, no matter how hard I try. I tried manifesting a good-paying job and a healthy relationship, but I haven't had any luck. How can I manifest what I really want? And with that question as the focus of today's episode, I'm Dr. Carla Marie Manley, and this is Imperfect Love. Today, I'm joined by a very special guest, Jessica Lancaster, who will be sharing her expertise on the art of manifesting. Jessica is an actress, producer, writer, Instagram expert, and manifester. Welcome to the podcast, Jessica.
Hello, how are you?
I am fabulous and so
Good.
excited to have you join us today, because you have such a beautiful way of manifesting a great deal of kind, good energy in the world and really bringing out the best in people. And I've seen that firsthand. So before we dive into your power of manifesting, could you tell us a little bit about what makes you you?
What makes me me? I think for me the most important thing is to try to be authentic. So to not put on airs or pretend that something is good when it's not, or I just to be honest in every moment, whether that is in a scene and I'm acting or whether I'm with a social media client. I think that is my core, is to communicate and to try to be as honest as I can. Authenticity.
Authenticity. I love that. And it's so true. There is nothing artificial about you. And I think that really plays into manifesting, just segueing into that topic. What does manifesting mean to you? Let's start off with that.
Um, so I shifted. So I think, and I was really excited to talk about this because for a really long time, manifesting to me was that book, The Secret. So it's like, sit in the Porsche and you will get a Porsche. Write that $1 million check and you will get $1 million. And that's how you manifest. And a lot of books say that, and that might work for some people. And for me, that was not working. I have $1 million check somewhere in the house. I don't know. It just didn't work that way. And it wasn't really until I started to look within and really, as I get older, as I'm in my 40s now, and as I was getting older, about what it is I actually want and focus on that, not what I think I'm supposed to have, not like the Academy Award or the fancy huge house or whatever that people think they're supposed to be manifesting. And so that's when manifesting became real to me. And that's what I believe it actually is really focusing on what makes you feel good. And when you find what makes you feel good, go after that and keep rewarding that feeling. And it can be very small. And when you start noticing that, like right now, I know everyone says gratitude. I know when you said in the intro, like it can be toxic or it can make you feel like, oh, superstition or whatever. And I think it's because people they go super big first, but I think it's a muscle. So you start, like, you find a penny on the floor and you pick it up and you're like, I'm a money magnet. Money just finds me. That's awesome. Put it in your pocket, walk on, forget about it. And then and this is what I did when I was waitressing. Any tip I got, I was like, great, money's finding me. This is awesome. Just acknowledging it and moving on, not expecting anything magical to happen. Just really acknowledging that made me feel good. I'm acknowledging it made me feel good. And slowly, and I don't think it's magic. I don't necessarily think it's the universe. I just think it's where you're focusing. You're going to start to see more of that coming. And then it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's how I manifested a whole entire side hustle business. That's now I don't wait tables anymore. So, and that's what happened. And that's sort of, for me, the crux of it is just really acknowledging the small little things.
And I love how you bring it down just to a really beautiful foundation of notice where you're putting your attention.
Yeah.
Notice if something's important to you, if you want that great relationship, if
Mhm.
you want to have you, great friendships, if you want a really healthy love relationship, no amount of sitting on a couch and saying, bring it to me, universe, is
Yep.
going to do that.
No.
What you then need to do is say, this is what I really want. This is what's important to me. And again, let's go off to what you said, not what's important to other people,
No.
not what society might tell you is important. That, six-figure job or that house on the hill or whatever it is. What is really, if you take away all the noise, all the shoulds, what will make you happy? What will bring you joy is really a better way of putting it. What will bring you joy and fulfillment on this planet, on your short time here? What will bring that to you? That's what I hear you saying.
And that's exactly, full disclosure, I love Abraham Hicks. And so that has shifted things for me. And that is basically just finding what brings you joy and doing that. Now, that it's tricky. You have a 9 to 5. Someone's gonna be like, well, wait a minute. I don't want to go to work for 40 hours a week doing this job I hate. So what are you saying? Quit the job and have no money and my kids don't eat? No, don't do that. It's finding it when you can. So when you're at that, like when I was waiting tables, what brought me joy in that moment? When I was doing that, like, where's it? Well, this is a fun relationship. I really like that person. Or, oh my gosh, that table has a really funny kid. Let's focus on the kid. Like, whatever it is, then the other stuff, like doing the roll-ups or like polishing silverware, like I was thinking about things that made me happy as I was doing that. It's practice, it's a muscle. And everybody is different and has their own different challenges, but everyone can find in their day what is bringing them joy. Everybody can do that. Even if you are in a depression, whatever, it can be something so small, like looking out the window and across the street. And I have a neighbor who loves to garden when it's really, really hot. And I don't understand it, but it makes me laugh. Like, why are you out there at like 1 o'clock? But it makes me laugh, and that's their joy. And then I smile and ooh, ding, one little thing that made me happy. And it just keeps building and building. It's like training for a marathon. You're building the happy muscles.
Absolutely. And building I like to differentiate joy from happy because
Yes,
joy to me is this internal quality
yes,
that we
yes,
can
yes. Mhm.
always access. It lives in us. It might get
Yeah.
dampened. It might, get a little darkened sometimes, but it's always there. It's one of our primary emotions. Whereas happy, we sometimes think we have to be happy all the time.
Right, right.
And joy knows that it's okay not to be happy. Joy knows, hey, I'm here. I might be quiet right now. But as you said, ding, you look across the street, you see the neighbor, in 105-degree
Yeah.
weather, and you go, oh my goodness, that makes me smile. That brings an authentic sense of joy. Finding a penny on the street, seeing a child laughing, getting a hug from your sweetheart. Those are the moments of joy that we can all manifest if we put our focus on them, which is what you're saying. Look
Yeah.
at where you're putting your focus.
Yeah.
Now I wanna get to there's so much here,
I
but
know
let's
there's
take a
so
p
much.
let's take a pivot to the part where you were talking about the person who wants to quit their job. Might
Mhm.
even apply to our listeners, the listener's question that, "Hey, I want a good paying job." And maybe they're in a job where they have just enough money to pay the rent or pay the mortgage, just enough money to put food in the fridge and pay all those bills. What do they do? How can they manifest? How can someone manifest a dream job when the reality of life is they need to be clocking into this place over here just to keep shoes on their kids' feet?
And that is, and I'm trying to be as authentic as I can. I have been in that position. I mean, with paying bills, I don't have children. I know that's a different conversation because it's a different set of responsibilities. And so, for me, when you're doing something that's not bringing you joy, so this job you hate, I think you start with your own worth and knowing and understanding that you are deserving of a job that brings you joy, of abundance of money, which is just energy. So you are deserving of this abundance of energy to come to you. You're deserving of an abundance of love. You're deserving of all of that. And then, as I said, I think you really do start. In my personal thing, what I did is I started with a mantra, which was I'm a money magnet, because I didn't want to wait tables anymore. And I've been an actor my whole life. And there have been chunks of time when it has supported me, but it's not it. I couldn't manifest a series regular. I don't know how to do that. I know I'm a good actor. I know I do the best in my auditions. I know I have an agent and a manager, and I've been doing this for a very long time. But for me, I have to pay my bills. So I can't just sit there and be like, where is my Academy Award, please? You know, that's actually going to make me less joyful, because I'm going to be frustrated about hitting the wall of like, I'm not good enough, or this is this system of actors is like, it's nepotism, or why did that person get it and I didn't, I'm better than, and this turns into a real nasty cycle. So what I did was I started to focus on, I'm a money magnet. Anytime money came to me, I'm a money magnet, I'm a money magnet, I'm a money magnet. Then a friend came to me and was like, hey, I know you need social media for independent film. I need a partner. Can I teach you? And maybe we could work together. And I was like, sure, I can do that on the side as I'm waiting tables. And I did that for 10 years. I did both for 10 years. And so, and it was sort of like watching, well, the money's coming here and it's not coming here. And it brought me joy. I found a lot of joy in doing the social media for people, as it was creative, and I got to work with people and I got to see accounts grow or whatever. And that made me happy and joyful.
Happy's fine. We'll stay with happy.
I think that like there is no blanket answer to how to get out of a job you hate, except it's slow, and start to look at what's out there. Like, be open to things you might not think are possibilities, and it's not going to be a takeover. It's going to be bits. That's what it was for me. It wasn't like, oh, I manifested a whole other career. It took me time. It took me 10 years to shift out of that life. But I will tell you this, I didn't hate waiting tables. I found a way to not hate it. I found a way to love it. I found joy in it. I found like, oh, I got in 15,000 steps today. I found ways when I went to wait tables in my, however old I was, to find joy in that. And that is something I think that you can find joy in almost any situation. And I would start with that, and then start to look at opportunity around you. You know, is there a friend doing something? This is what happened with me, that they love doing, and they're bringing in a lot of money, and they're making people happy, and maybe I could do that. Well, talk to that friend. Don't think that friend's going to say, no, you're too old to do X, Y, and Z, or you don't have the experience, or what. I mean, just start putting it out there and see what comes your way. And it's not going to be overnight. You're not going to win the lottery, you know?
You are bringing up such good points, because we often believe, people often think manifesting is magic, that it happens overnight. I see it, therefore, I want it, therefore it will come. When what you're saying really aligns with what I believe, that if we look when a door closes or a window closes, look for the next door or window to open. Sometimes it's a very different window than we expected it to be, or a very different door. So if we really just slow it down and continue one step after the other, letting one of my little phrases that I coined is, let me not get in the way of what the universe wants for me.
Yeah.
And I also say that slightly differently, may my will of wanting not get in the way of what the universe wants for me. And the universe can be divine, it can be God, it can be whatever you believe it to be, it can be destiny. But if we let go of the shoulds, the expectations, and really focus on how can I be my best self? How can I live my best life? What can I do?
Yeah. And I think absolutely. And I think people judge themselves people are really hard on themselves when they're not doing what they have set up. They set their own thing up of what they're supposed to be. They've set their own thing up of where they wanted to be at 40 or 50 or 30, or what kind of a mother they're supposed to be. I'm not supposed to get angry, or what I see my friends go that all the time. But like letting that go and just, I mean, goals I think can be honestly, I think goals can be kind of dangerous sometimes, because when you have something set up of what you quote want, then you shut the door to the things that might come. You can't allow other things to come. So I think the goal should always the goal should be what makes you feel good. The goal should be what makes other people feel good. That should be the goal. I want to live a creative life is a better goal for me than I want to be a famous actor. And that was a huge shift, an epiphany that I had and I think that if there's any artists out there listening to this, it's very difficult, whatever your art may be or your creative outlet or whatever. Like for me, I'm living a creative life, and whatever comes is going to be awesome. Like I have an audition after this, maybe that'll be it, or maybe it's this, or maybe, it's not that pressure or the weight of not getting it or not achieving. I haven't, like, the manifesting is in allowing, it's not in pushing. Pointing an arrow is dangerous, because if you miss, you've lost your arrow, right? So like let that go. Don't shoot anything. Like just allow it to come, you know?
I love that you said that because it's so true. If you're so hyper focused on, I need the red door,
Yeah.
my life will be happy if that red door opens. And that's it. And that's your definition of happiness and success. You might miss the green door, the
Yeah.
blue door, the the window that opens, all of those different openings that life can bring to us. So if we're not being myopic, and when we look at this listener's question, I want a good paying job and I want a healthy relationship. Well, maybe if, we look at it through what you're offering, staying with the good paying job, it might be about this person slowing down and saying, what is it about the good paying job? Maybe if I just put that aside and follow my passion, follow the job. Maybe I need to keep this job over here to
Yes.
pay the bills and do that. And while I'm doing that, be grateful for it, find little joys in it, and at the same time begin to pivot to find what's my passion, what brings me joy. And it may not happen overnight, but it will happen one baby step at a time.
It absolutely will. I believe that it will happen. I believe there's enough for everybody. I believe everybody can live a joyful life. I know you believe that too. And I mean, I believe if you are you have to look it's hard to give blanket advice without like specifically knowing all the details, but I really do think that if you're in a job or a relationship that is not bringing you joy, and that you're not growing in, and it's not making you feel good. Obviously there's challenges in every relationship and in every job, but generally speaking, they shouldn't make you unhappy. And I do think you do exactly what you said. You start to pivot, and you're going to start seeing other things once you let go of, I hate this, or this isn't right. And you start to be coming from gratitude. I know people say that a lot, but it's true. You're going to start to see other things coming your way, and then pick up that lead. don't ignore it. Like if you find, like if a friend's like, oh, you're so good at planning parties. I have a friend who gets a lot of money planning parties because she just helped a friend plan a party. And her friend was like, you're really good at this. You should do this for a living. She's like, oh, no, I don't have any training. Well, don't say, no, I don't have any training. Don't say that. Say, oh, I am good at planning parties. Huh. Well, what do you think? Talk to the friend. Well, what do you think I could do? How do you think I could do this as a career? How would I even? Well, I don't know. My friend's planning a wedding. Do you want to see if she wants to hire you? Sure. I mean, obviously that's like, rainbows and butterflies in that situation, but that is what happened legit to a friend. And then that person's planning parties and making really good money, having fun planning parties.
And it's a perfect example because I believe that's a true example of a window. That here she did something, how well she did it was noticed. The person opened a slight window and your friend could have shut it down and said, no, I'm not going to do that. But instead she said, oh, I'm going to open that window and climb through it.
Yeah, it was like
Manifesting.
a
That's
yeah,
manifesting. She
manifest.
had to do the work. She had to believe in herself. She had to have that little nudge sometimes from the universe. And I really believe that life tends to offer us those little nudges. And if we don't say no to them and we prop open that window, climb through it, and see what's on the other side, there's generally, if not the perfect fit, something wonderful that might lead you to the next window or the next door.
Yeah, you got to allow yourself to be surprised, I
Mm.
mean, if you wanting a better job isn't specific. Wanting more money isn't specific. It doesn't, it's so general. Why do you want a better job for more money? Well, what does the more money give you? Well, it gives me, so I don't have to stress. Well, what does not stressing give you? Well, keep asking the questions. It's always going to come back to it makes me feel good. It always comes back to that sentence, always. I truly believe that. No matter how far you dig, I want a healthy relationship. Why? Well, because I don't want to argue. Well, why don't you want to argue? Well, because it makes me feel bad when I argue. Well, why don't you want to feel bad? Because I want to feel good, right? So I genuinely believe it kind of comes down to that. And so the more you find feeling good in your life, the more you're closer to your goals. And
Absolutely. Jessica, I'm so with you. That is why there are so many people with fancy cars and big houses and lots of money in the bank who are unhappy. Because if money and success were the answer, there would be no mental health issues in the
exactly.
in people who had a high bank account balance. And in fact, there are a lot of mental health issues, and research shows that we need enough money so that we're not stressed by the lack of money. But a good paying job in and of itself, and I love the direction you took that. Instead, it's not about the good paying job as the end goal. It's, well, if you're doing something that makes you happy
Mhm.
and it's enjoyable, you're going to blossom and you will generally have
Yeah,
more income because you're doing something you love. So
absolutely.
let's pivot now to relationships.
Okay.
Um, so this individual had a question about wanting to manifest a healthy relationship. And it's one of my specialties, right? I help people build healthy relationships. And when we look at, for so many of us, we weren't raised in perfect households
Mhm.
with perfect mom and dad. And so we may not have had a good model for manifesting a healthy relationship. And even if we did have a good enough childhood, we're still working with other individuals who have their own imperfections. So for someone to think I can just sit here and look at a dating app or walk down the street or go to church and meet someone, who knows, whatever forum it is, manifesting a healthy relationship isn't easy.
I, yeah, I, I'm blessed that I did not have to do the dating apps. I'm in a 20-year relationship in December. Yay. Thank you
Congratulations.
very much. Um, I too, my mom was married 4 times. My father was married 3 times. So I can definitely identify with people not seeing the perfect, well, there is no perfect relationship, first of all. But I think it's the same. You know, my aunt, the only like really like the relationship growing up that I saw that I think it's first of all important to have a vision of what that's going to make you feel like.
Mm.
So not what it looks like, what it makes you feel like. So not like, don't imagine like walking in a park holding somebody's hand and he picks a flower for you. Don't do that. I mean, you can do that. That's fun. But because my guy sometimes picks a weed, you know, he's like, I'm like, okay. but but more about what it's gonna feel like. And when I was a kid, I would stay with my aunt and uncle who were together for 50 years. And my aunt just recently passed. But one thing my aunt told me about having a healthy relationship, because that was the only quote healthy relationship I saw growing up. And her advice to me was, it should make your life easier, not harder.
Mm.
It always stuck by me. It should make your life easier, not harder. And because it's not always going to be easy, but it should make your life easier and more fun. And for me, when I looked at a relationship and what I wanted, like the person I'm with for 20 years is my first boyfriend. Owen is my first boyfriend.
Mm.
And so I mean, we have the same birthday. It's a little cosmic and ridiculous. But I knew when I was dating in New York and dating in Los Angeles, I knew right away it wasn't make me feel good with these certain people. Like I dated a billionaire, like legit private jet. And I was like, this doesn't make me feel good. I dated somebody who was super judgy. I was like, well, that doesn't make me feel good. But when I was with Owen, immediately I was like, oh, I'm laughing. I feel good. I want to be better. And then it just kind of rolled from that. And then the second piece of advice that my aunt gave me um, was you don't always have to be right. So let go of being right. Because I think a lot of people will go on a date. And I've seen this with a lot of my friends who are older and going on dates, and I'll see them say these things and they're like, well, he thinks this, and this, so that's wrong. So I can't be with him. Well, you're never going to agree on everything. So if you just let go for a second of being right, if you don't have to be right, then there won't be arguing. There won't be tension as much, at least. So I don't have an answer. I don't know how to navigate those dating apps. I don't know where to find Prince Charming or Princess Charming, but I do know that people need to be open when they are meeting people and focus more on how it makes them feel and not on how it looks.
Absolutely, Jess. And I'm thinking, it was my third book, Date Smart, Transform Your Relationships and Love Fearlessly, right? It is about what you're saying, going first to your internal world and saying, who am I? What do I have to offer in a relationship? Do I want a relationship? What do I, and if so, what do I want to bring into my world? And yes, there are some externalities that are important. We might have certain, things we want somebody to be aligned with us on or look a certain way. But what's most important is showing up as your authentic self, the other person showing up as their authentic self, and seeing how it feels. Is this a good fit? Are we aligned in enough ways with our values, with our morals, with having fun together and exploring life together? And we often think a relationship should be perfect. But as you were saying, there's no such thing as perfect people, no such thing as perfect relationships, but a healthy relationship, which is what this listener is asking for, that is something that you can craft with
Yeah,
mindfulness. And
absolutely.
as I loved your examples, no to the billionaire, that wasn't a good fit. No to this, that's not a good fit. Some of it is really looking and saying, what feels right to
Yeah.
me? Let go of the superficial pieces. Private jet's not going to make me happy. What's going to make, obviously for you, what's going to make you happy? Someone who makes you laugh, someone who gets you, someone who's authentic, someone who is a creative like you. All of these important things that make you both radiate with joy as
Yeah.
much as possible.
Yeah. And it's the feeling of being on a team. That's what I always tell people. It's like you've got a teammate in with everything. And so when you are, I do think I do have a lot of friends who are older who are single, and they're awesome. Like they're my friends for 20 years. And they I think they want that team spirit, because when you're young and in your 20s, then it's about something else.
Mhm.
Be about something else. As you get older, and I think you really are looking for someone to go on this journey with, and looks fade. They do. And money can come and go. It does. And so what is always there is the core of who you're with. And people get sick, and things happen. And so it's that core of that human that I think everybody wants, that connection. And I don't know there are the dating apps, and I think there are people that are really looking. The success stories that I have found in my friends have come from everywhere, from friends knowing somebody who's introduced them, to dating apps, to one friend met someone at a coffee shop. That still happens. It still happens. It's just being open. And then physically, she was like, oh God, yeah. At first I was like, oh, why are you talking to me? But then he made her laugh, and she was like, oh, wait, that felt good. Okay, fine, you can sit here, and then because you know what I mean? Because she had dated a lot of really good looking guys or whatever. And this guy made her laugh. And so I'm going with that, and that feels good. And then all of a sudden she's like, oh my God, he's so sexy. He's so funny. And I'm like, exactly. So
And I love the point that you're making about we often get caught up when we're manifesting in or thinking about manifesting in superficial characteristics, externalities, material world. And I really believe we are, maybe as a world, but certainly as humans, being asked to shed some of that and to really see life and people for their soul quality, for their heart quality, because that's what's lasting. What's lasting is how someone shows up on the planet as a human. Are they kind? Are they compassionate? Are they respectful? Are they, as you say, someone who's willing to be a team member? And that is a piece in my last time I'm mentioning a book, but the joy of imperfect love, that is a core component of
yeah,
that book on relationships, because we get that we need teamwork in business relationships. We get that. Why do we think that a healthy, intimate relationship does not require that same, if more so than work relationships? We need a partner for a healthy relationship. We need a partner who is going to be on our team, and we are going to be on their team.
yeah,
And then we are both on the team of the relationship.
yeah,
That is the core. So for our listener who wrote in saying, how do I create a healthy relationship? First is look for someone, first, do you want or do you have the capacity to be a team member?
exactly. Yeah.
Do
I
you
think, yeah.
go, go?
No, you're right. I was saying, as you're talking, my brain's like, that's the key, is that you don't join a team. You're not going to get picked for the softball team unless you practice. You have to be able to swing a bat. You have to be able to run to your little bases. You have to be able to, fit in the cute little jersey or whatever to be on the cute softball team. It's the same with a relationship. Don't come from a place where you need someone to fix you, or you need someone to make you better. You need someone, because that's not the place you start from. You have to be, as you said, able to be a team player first before you can be on a team, or else you're going to lose. That's why people lose. It's like they pick the wrong teammate because they don't even know what sport they're playing. So if you're doing metaphor land here, then the work to manifesting, if you're single specifically, is make sure you are whole. You are a capable player. Then you step on the playing field, and then you find somebody who can play the same sport as you just as well. Bring something a little different. Maybe you're a good batter and they're a good pitcher or whatever, but you got that. And then if you're in a relationship, that's why counseling is so important. That's why people go to, because you can, if you're playing the same sport, you still can work on stuff and learn to play together again.
Absolutely. In the one of my taglines for this podcast, and it comes from the book The Joy of Imperfect Love, is you do not need to love yourself perfectly to love others well.
I love that. Yeah.
Because we are all for, let's hope, for the rest of our lives, continuing to evolve, to be better humans, better partners, better at loving people. And but we don't, as you said, we don't want to try to manifest somebody who's going to come in and make our lives perfect or make our
Yeah.
lives ideal. We want to be able to be working on ourselves and show up for someone else who wants to be working on themselves. And then can you imagine when you have two, talk about the power of manifesting, when
Yeah.
you have two
Mhm.
beautifully imperfect human beings who are working to evolve, and they come together and they say, oh my gosh, now let's create this third entity, this relationship, and make that grow and evolve. My goodness, does that not? That is the art of manifesting.
It is. Yeah. Yeah.
You are just taking that wonderful energy and making it so much bigger and more beautiful. And so, does that sound like your idea of a healthy relationship right there?
I think so. I mean, I'm pretty proud of my relationship. We have fun. We create together. We make movies together. I mean, I was just at his gig last night. I mean, and he supports me and he's putting me on tape for an audition after this. Like, it's a team. You genuinely, I feel like I'm playing a sport and it's fun. Like life is a great big ball game. It's just, and 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 I don't, it's hard to know the answer to anything except really genuinely just try to not judge yourself and to allow yourself to be joyful and feel good, and that will attract what you want. I believe that. I really believe that. I saw it happen with me, and I had to shift. I had to let go of an idea of what a perfect relationship would look like.
Hmm.
I had to let go of the idea of what a successful actress looked like. I had to let go. I'm glad you're talking to me about this because I do well, but I'm not like in a palace. I always get annoyed when people do these things and it's like, it's like an Academy Award winning actress talking about how to be successful. I'm like, she's in the 0.0000001% of actors. There's nothing she can say that's going to make me an Academy Award winning actor. But like it is, I've manifested everything that I have. Nothing, it all came because of the way I shifted completely.
And you have such, it's so interesting the part about you have such magical energy. That's what I was going to say. And you're so radiant. Yet, isn't it interesting that the idea of being an Academy Award winning actress, because I've seen you in a variety of situations. I've seen you in films, and you are magical. And it never even dawns on me, is she Academy Award winning or not? I don't even think that way. I just think, oh my God, Jessica, she's will be on the podcast. She's amazing, her energy. And so we want to strip away those ridiculous. How did someone get to be an Academy Award-winning actress? Well, you might know someone who knows someone who knows someone. You might have been in the right place at the right time, but it doesn't reflect the caliber of your humanity. It
Exactly.
it just doesn't. And then I think pivoting to your relationship with your wonderful sweetheart, somebody might from the outside go, "Oh, well, it's all roses and all this and that." And
No.
yet I know
Mm.
that because we've talked that, and I've talked to your sweetheart, that there is so much there that's not easy.
Yeah.
But the easy part, and it gives me chills and tears, the easy
Aw.
part is how much you love each other. That is the easy part because it's such an obvious, wholehearted, soulful connection. And that is what makes the tough stuff easier. That again is the manifesting. Where there is love, I truly believe you can make that makes magic.
Yeah. Yeah. And when you have, and also I think with manifesting, let go of little things and focus on the big things. Like, don't worry about the little tiny itty bitty things. Like, he doesn't drive a good car, or like, I don't know, he did this thing and he didn't text me right away. And that's just, if he's not going to text me back right away, then that's not the person for me. Let go of the little things and focus on the big picture. Now, it might be a hint. You might need to, don't ignore behavior, of course. Like, obviously, my mom was a psychotherapist. Do not ignore behavior. But do look at the big picture and generally how it's going to make you feel and grow, because you're not going to be the same person in the beginning of a relationship as you are 20 years. You grow, you change, you
Let's
shift.
hope. Let's
Yeah,
hope.
you have to. If I was
Yeah.
the same way I was when I was 26, it would be very odd, I would still be crying about not getting a part or something, like it's, you shift and you adjust and you grow. And I think anybody can do that with the smallest little thing to however big your dreams are. You can just start and I really truly think you let go of the small things and you open up to the big. Don't think about the audition, think about living a creative life. Don't think about that one date, think about a life with somebody. That is a better way of going through life. Don't think about that mean person in line at the grocery store. Think about the fact that you have food on your table. Don't think about, all of that is going to manifest more good stuff to you because you've opened up your huge, you're no longer holding a tiny little cup saying, this is what I want. Why isn't that full? You can only catch so much rainwater in that. You're opening up you have a huge swimming pool and you're like, come on. So,
I love that. And you naturally took us to our last piece. I believe that we can manifest excellent things, good things, lovely things, and that we can also manifest negative things.
oh yeah.
So let's chat a little bit about, because manifesting, it's energy,
Yep.
and what we do is, and so if we're looking, as you said, at this tiny little cup and saying, I
Mhm.
want only this in this little cup, and this is the only thing that'll make me happy. Wow, that's kind of a dark, small little cup, and very little is going to work to fill that up. But let's go to so let's stay with the dark cup for a
Yep.
tiny little cup for a minute and not go back to the swimming pool. How can we get dark? How can we notice when we're manifesting negative things?
You won't feel good.
Mm,
That's it. You're gonna be anxious. You're gonna feel, I mean, there are two things. There's anxiety and depression that are chemical, that are actual things that,
mhm,
and that I firsthand understand. But there's also anxiety and depression that's coming from where you're putting your focus. And that's what I'm talking about. I'm not
mhm.
talking the other kind. I'm talking about basically the walking well kind. And um, if you're focusing only on the tiny cup, which is basically, you're not focusing on the tiny cup because it's full. You're focusing on the tiny cup because it's empty. So if you're focusing on the empty, small, tiny cup, you're not seeing anything else around you. The only way to get out of that negative, and you sometimes have to go through the feelings of it. You have to sometimes mourn the loss of your tiny little empty cup. You have to say to yourself, in my situation, at some points, it's like, okay, well, I'm getting older and maybe I'm not going to whatever win that award or whatever. And if you start to let go of that and start to say, I'm going to start looking outside. Oh, that's scary. Nope, going back to my tiny cup. That didn't feel good. That was scary. But if you start looking outside of the tiny cup and finding the other things around you, you start making it bigger. Maybe it's a tiny cup, then maybe it's a mug. And all of a sudden you've got a mug and you're like, okay, well, now I still want that. It doesn't change that you want that success or that you want that beautiful house on the hill or that you want your kids to go to Harvard or whatever it is. It doesn't change that. It's just bigger now. So now there's room for more stuff. And then you're like, okay, well, now I have a mug. So I've got, the Academy Award in there. It's still a dream of mine. I'm not letting that go. But also I have writing makes me feel good. When I write, I feel creative. Well, that's nice. Well, what else can I do? Now I've got a bowl. And you're like, okay, well, now I'm in the bowl. That feels a little nerve wracking, but I'm going to try and see what else can go into this bowl. And you just start building it out. It doesn't mean you're losing, I want the love of my life. I want $1 million or whatever. You're just making it bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's going to allow more things. And then the more things that come in, you're going to be like, and it'll be small little things like, oh, this is so cool. That client of mine just got her book published. That's awesome. Makes you feel good because you have a bigger bowl. There's more things that can fit in there to make you feel good. Maybe you have a tiny little cup, that negative little thing that's just this thing, then And it can even be a feeling like I'm not worthy of love, or it can be like I'm not talented enough, or I'm not smart enough, or I'm not pretty enough, or skinny enough, or I mean, the list that women go through, you know, geez. And so I think the bigger and bigger and bigger you make it, the more you're going to feel good, because all of a sudden you're not just focusing on that tiny little thing you don't have. You got all this room for all this other stuff. It's like falling from the sky. The rain is like pouring and you're just like, oh, this feels so good. And then the droplets turn into, you know, it's a silly metaphor, but it is kind of how I see things. And eventually you're, you know, I'm in a swimming pool. I'm not even at the ocean. I'm not even at a lake yet. I'm still working on that. But I do feel good in my swimming pool right now. Like, you know,
I love your metaphor. I love your metaphor. It's perfect. It's beautiful because it's something we can all connect with. We can all connect with. We can all work and work a little bit more to open our hearts a little bit more. And magic happens over time. And that takes us back almost to where we started, when we really trust in ourselves, do our work, believe in ourselves. Watch where we put our focus. Are we focusing on the flowers in the garden? Or are we focusing on that one weed? Are we focusing on a partner who's has gorgeous energy and a great laugh? Or we focus on the fact that he drives a, slightly beat up pickup truck, right? It might mean that it doesn't matter. What really matters is it a person of good quality?
yeah,
Is what is are we focusing on? And if we have people in our lives who are good, kind, compassionate, all of those things, and we have a job that is bringing us joy, and we are reaching to continue to evolve in our friendships, our romantic relationships, in our work life, then we just keep manifesting because we keep allowing the evolution, which goes back to your swimming pool that becomes the
yeah,
lake, that becomes the ocean. Just open it up. I can feel that energy where you're saying, just keep opening it up and see what comes while you're doing the work underneath
yeah,
on yourself.
yeah, absolutely. That's it. There's nothing, there's nothing, you know, there's nothing wrong with having a tiny cup, but you're worthy of so much more. So like, yeah,
Everyone is. And again, just going back to that negativity piece, if we have negative energy, negative thoughts, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy. Of course you're good enough. Of course you're worthy. Wherever those voices came from, your childhood, a negative partner, something, you are worthy. The
yeah,
universe, the world needs your energy to come alive, as only you can make it come alive. Only
that's,
you can do that. And the universe deserves to have you show up and radiate and live in joy and fulfillment, and sometimes sadness and sometimes anger, like you said your friends, oh, I shouldn't get angry as a mom. All the emotions, we just want to handle them properly, right? You handle them appropriately. But that's the art of manifesting, is just allowing things to come, letting go of that which doesn't serve us, then drawing in more, letting go of that which doesn't serve us. Because, and I mean serve us in the kindest of ways, not saying using people, but if we're embracing that which allows us to be better, more loving people, and letting go of that which doesn't, we know we're on the right path. What do you think?
I 100% agree. And the other one little thing I wanted to say is you're not alone in your pool. You have a lot of other people playing in there with you. So to see who those people are, you know what I mean? Like you're not alone in your pool. They're doing their pool. It's one big pool and you're all playing in it. And so like when you do feel yourself sinking, just reach up and find someone to lift you up, or find, you know what I mean? Like I don't want it to think like you're alone in manifesting, because you're not. Like you have, generally speaking, there's a whole bunch of us out there that want everyone to succeed, that believe everyone should have abundance, that want, this is a quick little story. Like I have a really close friend who lost her agent manager. She has more credits than me. She's been series regulars on big TV shows. She's wicked talented, and she is definitely my type. We will be competition. She asked me for help. And there was this moment where I was like, oh, if I introduce her to my agent, I'm setting up my own competition. But then I stepped back and I was like, no, 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 no. There's a big pool here. There's a huge swimming pool. We both can play. I'm coming from where I know is going to make me feel good. What's going to make me feel good is to see her successful too. So then I introduced her to my agent. They love each other. They're going to probably work together. And the way I see it is if the part's mine, it's mine. If it's hers, it's hers. But that is a huge shift in me from my 20s. And that took work and that took splashing around, but that is it. You're not alone in your manifesting. People think they have to go in a corner and meditate with the candle. No, do that. That's great. But you don't have to do that. So
Thank you for that piece. And it takes us back to what you were saying in the beginning. There's enough for everyone. We're not, when we get into the idea that we're competing with other people, like, oh, I can't help a fellow author. I can't help a fellow psychologist. I can't help a fellow. No. We're going to be saying, who can I help? Who can I show up for? What can I do? Yes. How many times can we say yes to other people? How many times can we say yes to love? How many times can we say, yes, come play in my pool? Jess, you're welcome in my pool anytime. I think we're in the same pool. Well, I think we're in the same pool anyway, or the same ocean.
I think so.
Thank you.
You're welcome. This was
so
awesome.
much for sharing your brilliance, your time, your warmth, your energy. Where can our listeners find you, Jess?
They can find me on Instagram at Jessica Lancaster LA. I respond to all DMs, and they can find my movies on Amazon. The Holy Fail is one, and Choosing Signs is another. And
both of those are excellent. I must say.
Third, we're in post-production with our third, so that'll be coming out next year. I'm not going to come out this year. Next year it'll come out.
What's the title of that one?
It's going to be called A Lesser Gift.
A Lesser Gift.
And it's by the brilliant Owen Dara. So it's good. I'm really proud of it. I get to play the kind of fun, kooky character that comes in and starts to mess things up for him. So, and they're Irish films. So if you like Ireland, you're going to love them. And
I can't wait for that one. The other two are splendid.
Yeah.
So talk about manifesting. You certainly have done such a good job, and I can't wait to continue to watch your evolution. It's such a joy. Thank you, Jess. I'm so grateful for our time.
Me too.
And listeners, thank you for joining us. This is Imperfect Love.
Thanks so much for sharing your time with me today. Remember, you have the power to transform your life and love fearlessly, if imperfectly, and it's my privilege to help you along the way. You can find more life-changing content, including my books and other podcast episodes, at drcarlamanley.com. Feel free to submit your own confidential questions through my website. I'll do my very best to include your issue on a future episode. If you found this podcast helpful, please subscribe and leave a review. Until we connect again, this is Dr. Carla Marie Manley wishing you oceans of blessings and love. Please note, this podcast is psychoeducational in nature and is not intended to replace formal mental health support. Please contact your healthcare provider or emergency hotline if you need psychiatric care. And as always, please take good care of your amazing, wonderful self.